I'm Dane Rose, owner of Mystical Landscapes for the last 25 years. I wanted to give you a little bit of introduction to myself and what you can expect around these courses. So, one of the reasons I made these courses came after I spoke with a maintenance contractor who I always had a little bit of a judgment, an impatience with him because he's late, beats around the bush a little bit. And so I was talking with him just to be polite. And I learned something useful. And this follows a path that I've had since I first started the business at age 17, more than 25 years ago. Every time I talk with other business owners, I learn something. It isn't always major, doesn't always make a lot of money, but the reality is that we learn things from other people that are running a business, that are particularly in our industry, though frankly, when I was talking with one of the CPAs for Apple Corporation while flying to Thailand, learning about how Apple writes off different expenses as corporate tax write-offs, I learned something from that as well, which actually helped me when it came to my IRS audit. So, the distinction that I'm bringing to focus here is I don't want you looking at me as the best anything. I am absolutely certain that in the 30 to 35,000 landscapers across America, by my best count, and those are just the ones online, the ones that have web pages. So then there's all the, probably another 30 or more thousand that, just working out of their pickup and stuff. Of all those 60,000 or more landscapers across the United States, there is going to be someone that does everything, better than you and I do. One's going to have the perfect way to maintain their trucks, which I never thought about having a Tundra or Toyota. I just, don't think about it. Another one is going to have a system that makes 99% of their clients very happy. That, again, I never thought about. Maybe you didn't either. And so we learn from each other. And so I am sure that there are certain things that I'm going to do better than you, just as there are certain things that you're going to do better than me. And so the value of a course like this is not in saying, this person is the best just across the board. No. I've read more than 500 books about successful companies, about entrepreneurs, biographies. When I was 14 or so, I started reading the biography of Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, biography of Bill Gates, biography of Steve Jobs, biography of Rockefeller Sr., of Vanderbilt, of, all of these different titans of industry. Because if you want to be successful in something, you need to learn from someone who's done it. Not just talked about it, but done it. And so one of the things that I learned was they all do it in a different way. And there's no right way. However, the odds are high. For example, from Henry Ford Sr., I took my whole template of mentoring and saved more than $20,000 and had a much more enjoyable education process simply by learning from one mentor who was already dead, who was in a completely different industry from me. And so I take an average of 2 actionable items from every business book that I read. You read about Microsoft and its development and all that, and you and I aren't dealing with antitrust suits and this and that, so it's not really that relevant. But there's still things to learn. And so I extract those things in little bits and pieces and experiment and try them out in my company. It's great fun. And so what I want to do in these courses is distill and share some of all that information. As I say, if you've read, 500 different books, my Audible library, just in the last few years has gone over 500. It's lots of different pieces, and you start to see patterns. And one of the things that I've always been clear about is that for me, it's about lifestyle. It's about lifestyle. One of my clients was one of the early Microsoft employees who got huge stock options, multimillionaire. And she talked about the people who had burnt out, the people who died on a keyboard working, trying to, meet Bill Gates' frantic expectation to get stuff done quick. And, his famous statement, I could have done it in a weekend on BASIC, like these people are cramming and, trying to get all this stuff done. And it was, never fast enough. I didn't want to have lots of money and be miserable and burnt out. And I've generally, just being candid, found that it's about the $100,000 a year point. That's a nice sweet spot for me. Meaning, if I've got $100,000 in take-home pay, play money that I can spend, and it's just me, that's enough. Meaning, sure, it'd be fun to buy some more expensive toys. Sure, it might be fun to do this. But what I like is getting to that 100,000 mark faster and faster each year. So it used to take me 10-hour days, 5 and 6 days a week. Now it's, with no vacations, when I started out. Then it's taking, a couple of weeks off here, a couple of weeks there, 5-day weeks, working 8-hour days. Then it's moved to the point where right now, after prioritizing free time and passionate hobbies, I work 2 to 5 hours a day, 4 to 8 months of the year. And if I look at like the last 4 years, I've been out of the country traveling for months at a time, more than I've been in the country. So maybe, 6, I'm making this in 2019. So, 2017, like 7 months out of the country. I got married to a lovely Filipina in 2018. So we're settling in here, and still, everything in the United States is new for her. And so I'm spending more time here. But the 3 years prior to that, I spent more months out of the country than in the country. And the time that I was in the country, I was working 2, 3, 4 hours a day on average. And that's success for me. Success for me is being able to be anywhere I want in the world with anyone I want to spend time with without making those decisions based on money. And I don't. With $100,000 a year, I can live in luxury in Thailand, luxury in the Philippines, and I love, kite surfing out there. It's beautiful weather, the warm water. I just don't need more than that. So that's me. And in telling you a little bit about me, I'm doing it so that you have a sense of what you can and cannot learn from me. Because what I'm also telling you is you can't learn a ton from me. I mean, as I say, you can extract pieces, and extrapolate them into your own company from anyone. But I've never built a giant company because I've never wanted one. It's fun learning. Like Sony is a biography of a company about two men. Their working relationship was closer than it was with their own wives, and watching them give birth to the Sony Corporation and grow it into a world leader is just beautiful. To see how imagination works, how creativity works. I love reading those stories I don't want to manage, lots of employees and stuff. And so you're not going to learn how to make a massive company from me. But you can learn other things, such as, eliminating change orders, getting 95% of all of my work done early. I do it all the time. So that's something you can learn from me. You can learn, this kind of work-life balance, because I've spent a ton of time finessing that. Little things like, it's not only that I don't want to work, 8 hours a day. I want to structure my workflow so that the time that I'm working is kind of in my ideal time frame, which is usually like 1 to 6 p.m. Like the 1 to 6 p.m. window leaves me my whole morning to write books, to play with my wife or girlfriend, and that's fun for me. And so quality of life is an arena that I haven't met another landscaper that was stronger than that. But that's also part of why I'm doing this, because I haven't met a ton of landscapers. And I'm sure there's someone out there who's doing the lifestyle thing better than me as well. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to learn and collaborate. Time management, vacation time, getting work done early. All of my job gets done on budget. That's another thing. Pretty high profit margins, another thing. Integrated design and install, another thing. Lots of time-saving techniques. I did my whole truck kit as part of the course because I just love remembering how when I started out, all the little runs I'd make to the hardware store, and I didn't have a mentor around that. And so I figured it out myself. And, after 25 years, my truck is set up better than it's ever been set up in 25 years. And I'm hardly using it because I'm taking so much time off work. And so it's like, wouldn't it be nice to have let the earlier me know that, and save all those trips, and, it would just be so fun. And so it's in that spirit that I make the course, not that I know more than you in any number of areas, that, something's different in your situation. But I'm very confident of one thing. I've spent $5,000 on Audible alone on my 500 book library over the last 5 years. So that's 100 books a year. One reason I love Audible, it went, my consumption of valuable information just skyrocketed once I learned Audible, and could listen while working, could listen while driving, could listen while cooking, could listen, while hot tubbing. It's just in your phone, speakerphone, just being talked to by some of the world's experts. That $5,000 investment in that library, not a single one of which came from another landscaper, made me at least $250,000 and counting. So $5,000, $250,000, plus it's fun to learn. And not one of those is a landscaper. So my guarantee to you is that this set of courses will be much easier and more appropriate to learn from than those 500 books that had nothing specifically to do with landscape. I mean, one might be on email marketing, one might be on the rise and fall of Sony, another one might be working with virtual assistants, another one might be a thinking strategy, advanced sales, a whole host of different things. Better relating skills, better listening skills, all these different things. So many areas to grow. These courses are written after 25 years of largely success. I've never been sued. I've never needed to sue someone. Made tens of millions of dollars on my own terms, in my own way, creating a wide degree of beauty, and created that most precious of resource of all, more and more discretionary time, and various things to do with it. So these courses don't cost $5,000, the price of 500 Audible books at $9.99 each. And you don't have to wade through 10 hours to find 2 or 3 things that you can do in each book that tie right into your business. Instead, it's packed with stories and narratives and ideas that have made me millions of dollars. Now, I have my own approach to talking, and you'll have a little bit of a sense from this whether there's a good fit or not. I've always liked personal stories. So, my favorite thing, where I told you about Henry Ford and learning about his mentoring system, this was talking about his court case, his libel suit in which he was called an ignoramus, a word we don't even use today, but that's the fun of reading, a couple 100-year-old books. An ignoramus because, he didn't finish high school, he didn't even, finish 6th grade, and yet he had all of these mentors that he worked with that together brought him more than 200 years of specialized expertise that he used to make decision making. And so I learned from the personal things, and that's what I've tried to give you. I also like details. I hate these books, and the rest was history. They had the idea for the Sony Walkman, and the rest was history. No, the rest wasn't history. They had the idea. They had hundreds of other ideas. How did they get it down to that idea? This, that, and the other. I like the details. So I'm either very detail and information oriented, if you like details, or if you don't, I talk too much. I'm too verbose. That's my style. That's why I've put in the warranty. You can refund this if you're not enjoying the first couple of videos. The other thing is I don't want you buying this course and not acting. I don't want you spending more money to put another thing on the shelf that you don't get around to. And so if you find that it's day 28 and you haven't taken a single action that's really benefited your business, return the whole course for a refund. Because if you miss that window, statistically speaking, this is just going to sit on the shelf. And I don't want that. I don't want another thing for you to feel guilty around wasting money and all that. And we've all bought things with high hopes. I've got a Thai language course that I spent a lot of money on. It's just sitting out in the garage. I don't want that. So this is packed with action. But the only thing that really changes you is if you act. It's packed with action steps, I should say. But it's your action that's going to turn this into something useful for your business. And there's a fun thing at the end, if you like. And that is that if you've taken at least 5 steps, again, I don't want to be wasting people's money. And there's so many useful steps in these 2 courses that I'm positive that at least 5 will really benefit your company, and quite possibly dozens upon dozens of these steps are going to be useful to you. So if you take at least 5 steps that are creating new success, new money, better stress and all that, I'm willing to work with you as a coach. If you haven't, then me talking with you more isn't going to help anything. And so I'm not going to, waste both of our time. But if you take five or more things and pick something that makes you some money, that would be fun. You take some action, make 20 grand with it, and then pay me $450 to celebrate and refine and do some techniques and keep the change. That's the recipe for abundance. To take all the mistakes that other people have learned, that cost them $30,000 to learn this mistake and $10,000 to do this and that and the other, and just gracefully move through that. Create more money in the process and then spend some of it reinvesting back into your education and your business. That is a profound recipe for success. I look forward to seeing you in the course. And for those of you that are poised to really make some big changes, improve your business, it would be a pleasure and an honor to work with you as a coach.